Shalom. This week's Sedra is Vayakehl Pekude. There's simply nothing like a bowl of hot cholent on Shabbat morning. The wafting smell of meat and potatoes slowly simmering in a pot or on a flame or in a crock pot fills the house and grows the anticipation of a great Shabbat delight. To the layman who knows only a little about Shabbat, the cholent is a mystery. In this week's Torah portion, Hashem prohibited lighting a fire and thereby cooking on Shabbat. If it's forbidden to cook on, or light a flame on Shabbat, how can everyone make a hot cholent on Shabbat? In this week's Torah portion, we read, Moshe convened the whole Israelite community, and he said to them, "These are the things that Hashem has commanded you to do. On 6 days, work may be done, but on the 7th day, you shall have a Shabbat of complete rest, sacred to Hashem. Whoever does any work on it shall be put to death. You shall kindle no fire throughout your towns on the Shabbat day." The Medrash explained that on Shabbat you're not allowed to light a fire, but you are permitted to light a fire before Shabbat for enjoyment on Shabbat. In his commentary to the Medrash, the Torah Tzimima wrote that it's only forbidden to light a fire on Shabbat so that you're not doing the act of lighting a fire on Shabbat. As God wrote, don't light a fire, not don't have a fire. When you light the fire before Shabbat, it's permissible to have it lit all of Shabbat. Using a lit fire in a permissible way on Shabbat enhances the Shabbat experience. There's no comparison between a Shabbat with hot food and one with just cold food. Enjoying hot food on Shabbat is a fulfillment of the mitzvah of Oneg Shabbat, enjoying Shabbat. Rambam explained that Oneg Shabbat in the following way. What is meant by Oneg Shabbat, he asked? This refers to our sage's statement that a person must prepare a particularly sumptuous meat dish and a pleasantly flavored beverage for the Shabbat. Even if one merely stews food or the like in honor of Shabbat, this is considered to be a Shabbat delight. I recently had a conversation with a friend who is a member of a Jewish community that is markedly different from mine. She explained that her community's long-held custom is that they still maintain it, is not to serve hot food on Shabbat because that would be seen as violating the prohibition of lighting a fire and cooking on Shabbat. Her words seem strange to me in light of what we've learned earlier in this Dvar Torah about the permissibility of using a previously lit fire on Shabbat. In his commentary to the Shulchan Aruch, the Ramah wrote that eating hot food on Shabbat demonstrates our belief in the oral law, because the sages instituted that on Shabbat we eat delicious food kept hot by a fire. The sages' enactment explained the prohibition of lighting a fire on Shabbat. It didn't negate it. To refuse to light a fire on Shabbat refuses to align with the sage's explanation of the Torah. And following or even explaining the Torah without the sage's explanation of the Torah is foolhardy. Imagining that a student of the Torah today can understand the Torah better than the sages of yesteryear is the epitome of arrogance. Jewish tradition, understanding, and practice is completely reliant on our sage's explanation of the Torah. In every Jewish practice, from hot food on Shabbat to knowing what day we begin counting the Omer, we need the sage's explanation of the Torah. Shabbat Shalom.